Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Money Bag Hour show. Hi, we have our special guest here, Miss Carmela Williams.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Miss Carmela. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. No, the honor is all ours for your presence. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yes. So my name, I just was making sure I had my phone down low. Okay. My name is Carmela Williams, and I am a business coach and leadership trainer. I've been in business now since 2015. My background is in human resources and in ministry, just doing a lot of work serving the community, community leadership. And I started my business because we saw a need in the body of Christ. That's
Yes,
how we
ma'am.
started. I wanted to do leadership training and development and teach and help the smaller churches to be able to have a place to have leadership excellence and things of that nature. So that's how I actually got started. And I was teaching John Maxwell curriculum in these churches and didn't realize at the time that you need to be licensed to teach somebody else's content. And
Wow.
so I was teaching it before they launched the John Maxwell certification program.
So
And
you
so
kind of had the heads
yeah,
up.
I was like, wait a minute, what? I'm supposed to be certified? So I put it on my vision board, and I had it on my vision board for 3 years before I was able to afford the program. And then when I got in the program, I realized, oh, this is a real business. What I've been doing, and I just been, we call it serving,
Yeah.
in the body of Christ. I really was doing leadership training and development, and I was doing business coaching, but I didn't know that's what it was. And that's really how it all started. And so we got certified through the John Maxwell team, and we've been running ever since. I got certified in 2015. My husband was certified in 2017. Shortly after that, we sent my brother back to also be certified because you just never know. We're preparing for growth. So we
That's
want
right.
to always have a team that's prepared to go in and do the work.
And I love that. It's like you took a vision that the Lord gave you and you just had faith and you guys ran with it,
Yep,
that's like faith. Like you say, that goes all in all with the faith without works is dead because you took a vision
absolutely.
and you planned it
That's
and it
right.
manifested,
That's right.
so that's a big thing I think too, and part of business strategy and planning as well. You have to vision it. Like you say, you put your plan on paper, you put it on
Yep.
tangible resource, a vision board. You made a
Yep.
board where you could be able to look at this board daily or whenever periodically you go by a certain area. And that vision within itself began to manifest into the atmosphere and it began to manifest physically. It may have taken you
Right.
3 years, but hey, it started manifesting nonetheless. And I think that's
That's
how
right.
business ownership and how we should move and think in the same manner business wise. We should manifest, write it down, envision it, plan it, things of that nature.
Well, if you don't write it down, it's not real. Like we're just daydreaming. As an
Mm,
entrepreneur, you have to write it down and have a plan. Like some of us are calendar girls, and so we operate everything out of our calendar. Some
yeah,
do time blocks and some do other ways, but the overall vision, it has to be in writing so that we can see it. Now it does need to evolve. I call it needs to be a living breathing document because the way I started is not what I do right now. It
yeah.
evolved and I grew as I learned.
And I think that if, like you say, you write things down and along the way, that's kind of how you strategize and put together a business plan.
That's
You
exactly
know,
right.
because you're writing down achievements, you're writing down goals, you're writing down accomplishments, you're writing down venue, you're writing down revenue, you're writing down all types of things, and you're keeping
Yep.
track. So you may, toss a few things to the side here or there, but some of it goes into creating a business plan.
Yes, it does. And the you create the plan, but don't let the plan just collect dust. And that's
Yeah,
where I come in to help after the plan with the implementation. Because I
yeah,
know a lot of people got a plan, but
oh
it's
yeah,
just written somewhere. It's
yes,
in a notebook
yes.
somewhere.
I
It's in a
mean,
book
and
somewhere.
some of us have a million written.
That's exactly right. That's right.
Yes, yes, you are right. So I'm gonna go into one of the questions. They may
Okay.
not be in order, but I'm gonna ask this one though because
Okay.
I want to know what's some advice that you would give, because the biggest question I had when I kind of interview other entrepreneurs were the fear of failing.
Okay.
Like they were scared if they would fail, or if their ideal was not good enough, or if they weren't gonna be, successful. So what are some tips on ways to kind of control that fear, or to, overcome that fear?
My biggest piece of advice, and if you're watching, I want you to put this in the comments. I give myself permission to make mistakes. I give myself permission to make mistakes. The best way to overcome that fear is just give yourself permission to make mistakes. There's not one business owner that never made a mistake. You got to think about the business owners that have filed bankruptcy or started one business, it evolved into another business, so they closed that one and moved over here because that's where they realized their revenue was, and that's when they realized that's actually who their clients were.
Yeah,
We had that to happen. So we started this business in 2015. Prior to that, several years before that, we were doing virtual assistant work because I love all things computer, right? So I can put together a program, a flyer, videos. What it's just my thing, right? And so I
yeah.
said I'm gonna do virtual assistant work. And so I got into virtual assistant work. It was going really well. And I decided, you know what, I need a storefront. Now, if you are a virtual assistant, you already know that's where I first messed up, because you don't need a storefront to be a virtual
Right.
assistant.
It's
But
all online.
we went downtown and we got a business, and we had clients. None of the clients were local. I don't know why we went and got the business, but we did. And we were paying rent, we were paying lights, we were paying
Oh
interest,
my goodness.
with our virtual assistant work, and people began to come because they needed flyers designed and printed. And so
Ah,
even the local print shop was sending people to us. And I thought, oh man, we're getting good because they sending people to us. We're getting referrals. And then one of my mentors said, no, they're sending you one-timers. They're keeping their regular clients that come in every month, but they
wow.
sending you the people that just need a program for this week or something for next month. And so what happened was we spent so much money printing that it ate up our profits because we were not set up to be a print shop.
That's right.
So what we did was we ended up having to close that business down and pull it back in. My husband and I, we have 7 children. So we said, if we're going to try this again, but if we do, we're going to wait till the kids get out of the house. So if we have to live off noodles for a little while, we can do that. But right now we got to go to work and feed these kids, right?
That's right.
But what started as one thing evolved into something else because I was not clear on who my clients was. I was not clear on my message. I was not clear about the products and services that I offered. And so anytime somebody come in and asked me to do something, I was trying to do something for everybody to please everybody. And
Yeah.
so you got to give yourself permission to make mistakes. That was not a successful business, but this business is. If I would have allowed the fear from that last time to stop us from trying again, then we would never have discovered what we now know. So I would say my advice to you is, one, give yourself permission to make mistakes because you're going to learn from them. That's the biggest thing. We all mess up, but that's how you learn. In John Maxwell, we say sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. And it's never a loss as long as it's a lesson.
That's right.
It's never a loss as long as it's a lesson. So you figured out what caused us to get here. I know what caused that business to fail. I was trying to please everybody, and everybody wasn't my client. That, that's one of the biggest things that I even teach my clients now.
Yeah.
Everybody ain't your client.
That's right. We have to learn to identify the correct
Yes.
client and the correct people to market to.
Yes.
And I think that goes into the number, like the number one question that I had put on the roster, which was, when in writing a business plan, what's an effective method? That would be the first effective method, I think, would be targeting your audience, identifying your audience, identifying who you are trying to appeal to. And those are the ones, and that's the crowd that you want to draw in. You have to learn from your mistakes. Like you say, it wasn't a failure. It was a lesson learned. It's life. You learn now, hey, this is the result of me not properly planning. This is what happens. This is what happens when I go into something not fully understanding everything and like you say, trying to please everybody and trying to
Yep.
be all over the place. You can't do that in a business because you'll end up going into debt. You know,
Yes.
you won't gain, you'll put more into it, you'll have
Yep.
heartache, tears, you'll just have chaos. And that's something that's really not chaos, and a plan does not mix.
Right. Because either you got the plan and you're not looking at it, or you don't have a plan at all.
Exactly.
And we didn't have, well, we had a plan, we just weren't looking at it. We was just trying to collect money. Like, oh, I got rent to pay. Oh, they coming in, let me get this, let me get that. And that happens. Another way to determine when people are not your customer is it can be the right audience, but that don't mean it's your customer if they complain about your prices.
Yes, ma'am.
Because my clients can afford my prices.
That's right.
So even if we're talking about a cosmetologist, you have some cosmetologists that do hair and it's the low cost. Don't mean that the quality is any lower, but the cost is low. And so they appeal to a certain audience. Then you have high-end salons that can do the same thing that these girls doing hair for $25, $30 can do. When I go in there, I'm paying $100 and $150, right? The atmosphere may be a little bit different. Whatever it is, they're not appealing to the $30 audience.
That's right.
It's not wrong. It's just that's not their client.
And you have to stick with it. And like you say, don't lower your standard. In other words, don't just be like, oh no, this didn't work, so let me just go really cheap, or let me lower this, or let me not provide this, or not bring forth the best, and that's not the way to get ahead. That even sets you back even more.
Right.
So I do feel like targeting the correct audience is very, very important. We often overlook that. Because like you say, I'm guilty. We get excited. We see, oh, we got 1,000 views and shares, or oh, it's going somewhere, and out of all those people, you may not even have to call you or that are seriously interested, because like you say, you have the, let me try or look around or let me, this price, it's always something. So you are correct. We have to appeal and target the right audience. Right. And I think sometimes it's kind of hard, to differentiate. It's a little, that line is a little gray there, because you don't really know, especially being a new entrepreneur, you just kind of throwing everything out there.
Yes, you're right. In the beginning, sometimes the lines may get blurred in the beginning, because we said earlier, it needs to be a living, breathing document, because you may went in the beginning thinking you were going to do one thing to a certain group of people and realize that you like something else. I'll give you an example. When I first started coaching, I took anybody that needed help. So I had a client that was writing a book. I had clients who needed life coaching. I had clients that needed help with their businesses. They all needed something different. And what I found was, for some of them, I look forward to their sessions. And for some of them, it felt like work. Felt like I was clocking in because I didn't really want to do it. Ma'am. For some of them, I had a hard time with life coaching because I'm a pastor. And so I struggled with not pastoring them and just coaching them. And so after that first about year and a half, I shifted to only working with business owners, because that was the group that I loved working with. That was the group that I was excited for their coaching calls. That was the group where I didn't feel like the lines would get blurred with ministry or anything like that, because business is black and white. Numbers don't lie. We can trace it. We can see if your revenue is increasing. We can see, did you get more clients? We can see, has your social media account grown as a result of our time together? But some of the other things, it was not measurable the way my brain works. And so those people still needed coaching, but I would just refer them to somebody else. And I focus in the area of leadership, in the area of business only.
Yes. And I know for you, that was probably a big struggle, especially being a pastor and then, coaching. And it's like, because you have that spirit coming like, hey, and then you got to be professional.
You to my life coaching and your boo and your spouse and your boo and stuff. And I was conflicted, I was conflicted, but they wasn't paying me for pastoring.
That's right.
So it was a conflict of interest.
And we have to put self aside a little sometimes. Definitely. And cater to our audience and cater to them in that sense. We have to identify, and we have to, like you say, understand and know the boundaries not to cross.
That's
You know,
right.
that plays a big part in picking your audience. And I think that's one of the good, answers for a tip on writing an effective business plan, period. Just identifying the audience,
Yes, giving yourself permission to adjust it. Because
Yeah.
see, the first 2 years I was just discovering. My
Mm-hmm.
prices reflected that as well. I was not that expensive. So I could just work with
Yeah.
anybody. And
Yeah.
but it was because I was so excited to just have a business. I was like, I can help everybody. But then I
Yes.
realized I didn't enjoy helping everybody.
That's right.
See, we're not building a job. We're not creating a job. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm clocking into somebody's job. You know how we feel like when we go to work?
Yes, ma'am.
That's different
Mm-hmm.
from when I show up for my clients. It's a
That's
different
right.
feel. And
That's right.
so I wanted that aha moment. I wanted that joy, and I needed to be able to show up like that for my clients. And so in that business plan, you have the 7 basic components, but you got your executive summary, which is, that overall. You got the company description. You got your market analysis. I didn't like market analysis. I didn't like having to look at my competition and see what they were doing. But when I first started coaching, I had to do that. I had
That's
to see what
important.
other people were charging.
Yes.
I wasn't necessarily competing with them, but I did need to know the range.
Exactly. And like my seminar before, we just discussed that. We were talking about competition being, not really competition, but being using it as a tool to help you advance in your own business and to learn from others' mistakes and to see others' marketing strategies or to see others and how things happen so that you can either get ideas, or you can avoid mistakes or you can, excel beyond, reasonable measures by just paying attention to others and just looking. It's not like saying, oh man, I'm hating or nothing like that. It's just like, no, you have to look at all this stuff and you have to take it into consideration, and it creates a successful business.
It also makes you an expert in your industry. Because if there's trends going on in your industry, okay, say you started your business 10 years ago.
Yes.
The trends could have changed. So yes, you do the market analysis, see what's going on and stuff in your business when you get started, but it really doesn't ever stop. You got to know when to shift and when to adjust. Think about your nail salons. I've gone to the same nail salon since they opened.
Yes.
And even the decor has changed. The seats have changed. It don't look like, old China, I'm not, but it has changed to a more modern look. So they've even changed based on what the market is doing.
That's right. You have to appeal.
Yes. Right. So all of this is a part of that business plan. Another part is the organization and management. This is your legal structure. Now, I love this section. Now, this is one of the areas that, again, I don't normally help people start their business because usually by the time they want to coach, they already have a business and have realized, okay, this is what I want to do, and I need to know how to sustain it, or they'll say, I'm ready to grow it. Most of us, when we first start in a business, we can't afford no coach anyway. If we just
that's right. Honest, we're seeking information from anywhere we can get it. It's like wherever we can, YouTube, Google, ask, whatever. We're trying to grasp all this information, be it right or wrong. We try to
we're just trying to get started. And we're very budget conscious, in the beginning, and you should be. But this is where you set up your legal structure. You got to have a legal structure. It can be an EIN number. It can be a single owner LLC, but it has to be something. Listen, I started this business and we were running the business at TC Williams Enterprises, LLC. And I joined our local chamber. Now, the cool thing about the chamber here in the country is when you join the chamber in a small town, there were some major benefits. And so because we wanted to do leadership training and development, they allowed us to use their conference room, their screen and everything. So all I had to do was just show up with my PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, wow. I
would create the flyer. They would blast it out and let people know. People would sign up on my Eventbrite link, and I would just show up and teach the classes. And so we didn't have but like 3 people sign up for this one class. So I said, well, I'm going to reschedule that class because I like to have at least 5 people show up. That was my minimum. And so they messaged me and said, hey, one of the businesses in town called and she wants to know why you canceled. I said, well, tell her I need at least 5 people. And so the lady said, well, we got 20 something people that you can come and train. They thought it was the chamber. And the chamber said, no, this is one of our clients, Carmela. And the lady was like, I know Carmela, another person, small time living. And so we exchanged numbers. Well, this was my first contract. This is my first leadership contract. It was $5,000. First of all, I like to pass out that I even gave them a quote for $5,000 because this was my first corporate.
Yeah, so you were probably scared, like this is too much. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Like,
exactly. It was my first contract. I like to pass out. But she said yes. And they gave me a check with TC Williams Enterprises LLC on it. And my bank account said Carmela Williams. So first off,
more than match.
in the bank. I had to open an account in my business name.
That's right.
Second thing I learned here, this is under organization management. The second thing I learned here was when you get big checks, you can't get your money immediately. They're going to hold that check for a few days.
Oh, yes. It has to clear.
So your deposit that they pay needs to be enough to cover your curriculum.
That's right.
I had to order books. I had to put together notebooks.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going in with 25 books, 25 notebooks, all this stuff. And then my deposit wasn't even enough to cover it. And I had to wait a few days. So I had to take money from somewhere else.
Yes.
All of these are things I learned the hard way. Because I didn't have somebody to give me that behind the scenes stuff. I thank God we got it figured out. But you got to know your legal structure has to be in place. Who's going to run your business? What happens if you get sick? I have a client right now that one of the main employee is sick. What happens to that income? Now, the good thing about this particular employee is that all of our time together, they were constantly saving. We put a savings plan into the regular revenue budget, so they are okay. But how many of us as small business owners actually have a savings account where we say 10% of everything that comes into this business is going over to savings?
For your employers at that, in case of an emergency fund.
In case of an emergency. You have to have this. When you run your business by yourself, I tell my kids this. They're like, Mom, I need you to babysit. Can you watch the kid? Baby, I don't have sick leave.
I know, that's right.
If I don't go to work, I don't eat. So you got to, when you're talking about you're going to do this thing full time,
you have to be committed.
You got to be committed. Have your business, the business of business handled.
Yes.
This is the example I like to use. Have you seen the movie Get On Up? It was about James Brown.
Yes, I did.
So in this movie, Get On Up, James Brown wants to rent out the Apollo, and he wants to do a live show, and he has this vision of what he wants to do. And so the manager comes out from behind the desk and starts dancing. And James like, what are you doing? He said, exactly, I can't dance. He said, you handle the show and I handle
the business.
And so James took that thing and he didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
But if a little while later in the movie, you will see where James was able to do what he wanted to do because he learned from that. He started saving. And he said, this is what I want to do. I want you to rent it out. I want you to do this. I want you to do that because I'm the show and I'm the business. Remember, they were coming in with all them suitcases. He handled business. So the reason why I have a job as a business coach is because a lot of times people are experts in their area. They can handle the show, but they don't necessarily know how to put the systems in place yet for the business. And so I can come alongside them and provide support for a little while until they get that thing balanced, have a foundation in place that they can build upon. Because eventually you want to be able to handle the show and the business. But a lot of times in the beginning, I just know what I know and I don't know what I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's absolutely right. That goes back to a few other shows I did with other speakers, and everyone was talking about, us trying to do everything on our own. And, that's impossible. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to get tired. You're going to get fatigued. You're going to lose that joy. You're going to lose interest. And that's when you start spiraling, or even are at a stagnant or a standstill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not a place that we should be. And that's where you come in place. That's why business coaches are important. Yeah. That's why motivational speaking and being part of groups, empowering, all of those things are important. They help us to be able to continue to think and
Yeah.
relax and be human and to breathe,
Yeah.
because it's just so much, and we try to take on everything like we're superwoman. And at the end of
Mhm.
the day, no.
No.
That's how you fail as well. And I think that goes to another question we were talking about, like what's one of the, first year failures, or what's one, well, not I'll say failure, but what's one of the, hurdles that you have during your first year of business. I think it's that too, being burnt out and just having so much on your plate and
Yeah.
not being able to access, the coaching and things of that nature. And I think it's essential. Like, even I tell people, reach out to your churches, your pastors, they talk to you. And,
Yeah.
you have people that will help you, along the way, that won't
Yeah.
charge you so much, or that will give you free advice, but they give you real advice, you
Yeah.
know.
That first year, it's so important that you surround yourself with the people who have access to where you're going,
Yes.
not the people that look like you, think like you, on the same level as you. So sometimes that first year, because we are so unsure,
Mm-hmm.
we may not ever admit it, but sometimes we're very intimidated by people who have gone before us. And I know people can be messy, and so we be like, they won't even tell me nothing. They won't share anything with me.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that happens. We have to be honest. That does happen.
Yes.
But social media has leveled the playing field. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
connect with people in other states and other countries that will
Yes.
pour into you and that will share with you. So one of the benefits of being part of the John Maxwell team is when we become certified, we have access to the materials for life. That's one perk. The other perk is we're inside of a private Facebook group. So before COVID and everybody was doing the groups and things like that, we were already
Yeah.
doing that. And also we had calls 5 or 6 days a week that I could jump on. I could jump on a call and hear somebody's story, ask questions. And then twice a year, there was a conference. I couldn't always afford to go, but it was a part of my budget so that
Yeah.
I would sacrifice and go. And our food and our room and everything was included. That would have been good because I'd have been down there eating crackers. I'm just being honest. But it was important that first. So I went 5 times in a row. So that was 1 year, 2.5 years. I went every 6 months. I never missed one
Wow.
because I didn't have another business coach in my area that I could learn from, that I could even go and be an employee of, to learn
Yes.
from them. That's not something that's popular here in our small county. And so
Yes.
it allowed me to be around people who were doing what I was doing on a much larger level. And when I would go back, I would be like a table leader, and I was a leader as an executive director in the John Maxwell team and helping onboard new people. But when I would sit at the dining room table, the only thing I would say at that dining room table was, tell me how you're using this business. How is JMT helping you? And I would leave that conference every year with so many new ideas and things that I had never been exposed to, things that I had never thought of. We were using free conference call, building our business through free conference call from people from all over the place, because that was the model that we were shown. So to answer that question, some tips for people in business that first year is get around people who are
Yes.
doing what it is that you want to do, even if that means finding those Facebook groups and get in them. Like, I have a Facebook group
Yes.
and I share in it once a week free content. I'm
Mm.
in a Facebook group. I have a coach. And I'll tell you this, I was in her group for about 2 years. I could not afford her coaching program. So she does these free challenges all the time. So I
Mm-hmm.
did all the free challenges. I made good money doing the free challenges. And I mean, it's free. Why not get involved
Take
in it, right?
advantage of those resources.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
jumped in it. And then when I paid that money, it was $6,000 for 90 days. I paid it. Now, first of all, it was a sacrifice.
Yes. Yes.
And so you already know I'm not missing no meetings, no posts. I'm
That's
not
right.
missing
You are
anything.
dedicated.
Yes, I made $18,000 those 90 days.
See?
It was worth it. I tripled my investment. I cleared my calendar for our meetings every week. It was priority. But it took me 2 years to get to a place where I understood why making that level of investment was important. Because
Exactly.
I'm a coach. I ain't gonna lie. I still struggle with. I was like, what? Wait, hold on now. Hold on.
Yes,
But I needed that push. I needed that jump. I had to make that investment. That's not an investment I could have made my first year.
that's right.
And it would have been foolish of me to make it. One, I wasn't even clear on who I was serving. I didn't have my financial structure in place. I hadn't mastered my message yet. That's a part of your business plan because you got to
Yes,
be able to tell who you serve.
that's
On
right.
the service and product section, you got to tell what you're selling, how you're going to get the customer, and how you're going to retain the customer. I couldn't answer all of that stuff when I first started. I was just trying to make some money and get good.
That's
Use
right.
the first year to get good.
That's right.
May not make a lot of money, but get
Yeah,
good.
just be knowledgeable about your product
Yes,
and your service and your components and your
yes,
audience, and take every knockoff as a way to help you move forward. You know what I
yes,
mean? Like take everything that happens to you within that first year and use it to be better within the next year and in the next
yes.
year, the year after that. And I think all that goes to what you said earlier when you were saying handle your business.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were talking about, James Brown movie and everything, but like you said, handling your business on a real level, though, that all those things pertain to handling your business,
Yes,
coming up with good strategies, and surrounding yourself in positive meetings and
yes.
sacrifice. And the sacrifice of not just your money, but sacrifice of your time
It's
and
a
sacrifice
sacrifice.
of yourself. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like you have to be disciplined. You have to
Yep.
be organized. You have to have an overcoming spirit. You have to be determined. And all of these things are sacrifices of self. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you have to be focused,
Mm-hmm.
and all those things are very, very important. And that first year is a little rough and it's a little, mixed emotions. You're
Yeah.
going through the happy, the sad, you're on a roller coaster. You're just on
Yeah.
one big roller coaster. You know what I
But
mean?
see,
And
in that first year, you discover that only 5% of your revenue comes from family and friends.
yes,
Let your mama them be your mama them and go find your clients.
yes,
But
yes,
those are things we learn in that first year or two. Because
that's
our
right.
feelings get hurt. Why you ain't sharing my post? Why you went over there and
Yes,
I answered it?
yes.
You be mad at your mama. You be mad at your sister.
Yes, yes. And that goes to my very first show. We were talking about the move in silence theory. It's not saying that we're moving in silence like we're trying to be bougie, but it's like, look, we'll present this to you guys, inner family circle and friends when we got it popping, because
Yeah.
right now, like most of the time you say inner family and friends, and it's not even to throw salt or shade or to be, like coming down on anybody, but it's just statistics. It's proven.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
you get more attraction and more, support, unfortunately, the first year, it seems, from outside venues and outside, not just the ones right in your little circle. You have to network, you have to
Yep.
branch out, and you have
Yep.
to spread your ideas out to get that feedback and to get experiences and to
Yes.
learn, how to deal with different people on different levels. If
That's
you're
right.
only dealing with just this little circle, how are you going to go branch out here and talk
You
to these
can't.
executives and CEOs and these
You can't.
people that you really need to connect with, like sponsors and things of that nature? How are you going to do that if you're only narrowing and limiting yourself to small little boxes?
That's right.
And that's something that we have to break ourselves out of. Like you said, you can't get mad. You done posted all you can and you done did all you can in your time. Go to the next. Go to the next. Go to the next.
Right.
You
That's what
just
I'm
keep
saying.
going. And before you know it, you will be in all 50 states. Somebody's going to know your name.
Social media leveled the playing field.
Yes, because you're right. Because I mean, we didn't, a lot of these advantages were not offered a while ago, and not even a long, long time. Just
Right.
within maybe I think Facebook came out in 2008,
Right.
2009 or something like that. So it's
Mhm.
fairly relatively, some years old, but right before that time. We didn't
Right.
have platforms like this. You had to get out there and knock on doors and car washes and network and,
Exactly.
get doors closed in your face physically. You didn't
Right.
have those luxuries of sitting here and, like you said, being able to connect with people in Switzerland. You know,
Exactly.
so these are gifts and tools, that we should use to our advantage. The free
Exactly.
resources, the free webinars, like you say, seminars, go check out these people.
Mhm.
You have, like, that's the best idea. That's what I do even. If I have um business coach or life coach admirers or crushes that I have,
Yeah.
or that I want to see that I can't afford right now, like you say, I might go check them out and look.
Oh
Some of them
yeah.
offer little free trinkets or information, or they
I'm
have little
getting it.
things, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing
No.
wrong with crawling before you walk. There's nothing wrong with
Right.
obtaining these skills and using these free resources. So
Let
I
me
don't,
tell you.
people shouldn't feel. Or feel
No,
any way.
that's wisdom.
Mhm.
Because by the time I scheduled my one-on-one call with my coach, she didn't need to convince me. She didn't need to go through the spiel. I'm like, listen, I've been working with you for 2 years. You didn't even know it. Look, I just need to know, can you send me the invoice? I just need to be
Yes,
on the page.
ma'am.
I just need to know, do I need to pay it all at once, or can I do monthly? That's all I needed to know. Because I had done enough. Because if I could get results with the free stuff, I already knew it was going to be on and popping with the paid services. So
Yes.
you didn't need to give me no whole speech. Just
Like, I'm ready.
do I pay all at once, or do I pay monthly? That's all I needed to know. Send me my invoice, please. And so that's the same thing you were just talking about. The people that we look up to, we go and we watch their stuff on YouTube and
Yes.
TikTok and wherever they are.
Yes.
And we ask questions, and we download the free resources, and we learn all we can until we can get to their conference,
Yes.
until they offer something that we can be a part of.
Yeah, or till you save up the revenue to be able to
Yes,
continue function, and that
exactly.
has to be part of your sacrifice,
Right.
'cause those things help grow you, and
Yes.
people often be like, oh, I don't need all that stuff, or that's just a waste of money and this and that, but it's so
God.
much valuable information. Why you think the elite, hang with the elite, or they have certain types of clubs and things,
Right.
because, hey, I mean, that information is valuable.
It
The
is.
information is is golden to them,
It
and it's
is.
like, they're gonna be respected. And you should feel the same way about your dreams and your business and
Right.
endeavors. You should put aside some money, even if it is once or twice a year. Just put aside something, or try to have that leeway to be able to explore and experience new things. Because those ideas and that
Uh-huh.
coaching and training, that really helps.
Yeah. And I would say one of the things you were talking about was that first year, decide, put in your budget training.
Yes.
Every business that expands has a training budget. That first year, you may not be able to put that in that budget for year one. You may have to get the free resources, but by
Mhm.
year 2 or 3, that should be a part of your budget. That those are things that you're
Right.
saving for. That
That's right.
that first year, you're making some major investments, but go ahead and kind of have an outline so it don't surprise you. And don't, I'm gonna say
Yeah.
this, and don't forget business insurance. I,
Yes.
I can't say that enough. Don't forget business insurance. Okay, let me just give this example. You see, I love these little journals because I put my notes in them. So
Yes, ma'am.
if you selling journals, right, and you go to vending events and you sell journals,
Mm-hmm.
what happens if it rains and all your journals get wet?
Hmm.
What happens if somebody hits your car and your journals get spread all over the road on the way home from one of those events? What
Mm.
happens if you have them in a box at the house or something, and God forbid you have a house fire? You
Wow.
have to have business insurance, otherwise you have nothing. What happens? I saw somebody was sharing about how somebody stole their car and all the equipment in their car. What? So
Wow.
you do photos and pictures and things like that. And what happens if somebody steals your equipment?
Yes, you're right.
If you even if I was selling, this is hand sanitizer, I'm always picking up stuff. If I was selling hand sanitizer for $5 each, and what if I had 500 of these and
Yeah,
something happened
you're
and
right.
they got destroyed?
That's
I'm
your
done.
inventory.
I'm over.
Yeah, you're right. That's your resources. That's your time.
Yes,
That's your money. That's your project, and it needs to be protected. That's the respect of it. It
yes,
deserves to be protected. So it's your responsibility to acquire that type of insurance.
exactly.
And
And it's affordable. We a lot of
yes.
times we won't even inquire. That's why the business plan topic tonight, that's
Mhm.
all a part of it. Put it in the budget for the first year. Go ahead and ask all the questions so you can see what it is that you need so that you can start right. You can build it right. Yes, you're going to make mistakes and you may shift and change gears. All of that is okay. It's
Yes.
okay to shift and change because
Yes.
as long as you're growing.
That's right. As long as you're not standing still.
Yes,
Now when you're standing still is the problem. But
that's
whenever you're moving, then it's okay. It is fine to move. You have to. You're right. You're absolutely right. And all of that goes back into play as in I feel handling your business. All of this is basically doing just that. Getting all your ducks in a row and things
that's
that you
right.
need. And I mean, when you were saying about we always think about money within that first year and we're so budget conscious and we're so conscious of our funds, which we
Yeah,
have. I mean, you can't help it
you
some
gotta be.
most of the time. You got to be. But when would you think a business owner should, if they have an effective business plan and if they are doing things in the right manner,
Mhm.
what are some feasible, profitable goals, or around what time in the business do you think that you should start seeing a constant flow of revenue?
I think it really is it's going to depend on what you're offering. And let me tell you why I say that. Because if you're offering a service,
Mm-hmm.
there's not a product involved where you don't have to buy wholesale and try to sell retail. So if it's a
Yes.
service, there's not much overhead. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like,
Yes.
so for me, I was able to see the profit a year and a half in. I could
Mm.
have seen it sooner, but I was afraid to charge because I didn't have a healthy relationship with money. That's why it was important for me to continue to go to the conferences and jump on the calls. And they was like, you shouldn't be selling no leadership program less than $5,000. I mean, I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. I'm like, what do they
Yes.
mean $5,000? It took me 3 years to save up $5,000 to get my certification.
And like, you want me to go talk to these people and tell them 5,000 so they can turn me around? I done did all that talking and trying to sell my business. And you have those
And
phobias, those
one of
fears.
our coaches said something that was so powerful. He said, your money should not be answering for you in business. He said, you have faith
I
in
like
every
that.
he said you have faith in every other area. Why don't you use that same faith in your business?
That's right.
I'm like, wait, hold on. You talking to me?
I know
Yes.
you're right. I know that.
Other people hearing you talking to me like that. But guess what? I needed to hear that because he was right. I have faith for healing. I have faith if you get sick. I have faith for my kids. Baby, I got the gift of faith, but for some reason I was afraid of money. He said, if you want to go to the next level, you need to determine how much money you need to make that happen. You don't say, let me look at my money and see if I can go. You're supposed to say, no, let me see what I need to do so I can make the money and go.
That's right.
So I had to change my mindset with money. So that's what's going to determine when the profit comes. Because if you say things like, I just need to make it affordable for everyone, we said in the beginning, everyone ain't your client.
That's right. That's right.
You,
Everybody's not your client. That's
you
right.
got to decide who you serve, what problem you solve for those people, and what they're willing to pay for you to solve that problem. And when you can get real clear on that, it don't have to take you a year and a half and 3 years for you to make a profit. You might see that
Right.
profit in that first year.
That's
It
right.
just depends on how your relationship with money is. I didn't realize until I started a business, and people of faith struggle with this. When I have clients that have faith, we struggle with this because we say, but I just want to help them. I say,
Yeah.
but they went over there and paid $200, $300 for a wig. They can't pay you $150.
Now that's true.
They
Now
pay
that's
for what
true.
they value. And they look at me to my,
Right.
well, I ain't thought about that. I said, quit counting people money. Because
Yes.
if they value what you bring to the table, they will pay for it. As long as you ain't, having false
Yes.
advertising. If
Yes,
you say
ma'am.
you want to do something, do it. If you
Yes.
want to provide a service, provide it. If you
Provide it.
can charge $75, give $150 worth of service.
That's
Always
right.
under promise and over deliver. But if you over promising and under delivering, then you're not gonna make a profit because people gonna talk.
And I think that puts us into the statistics. Yes, because as women of color in general and
Yep.
Black people in general, our services, nowadays it's not. When we're proud to say we're Black owned, and yes, we are
Mhm.
proud. But sometimes when people hear Black owned, they think about, oh no, this is not the best service. So they think about, all things that go wrong or people, not delivering their product to the best of their abilities. And that's already an overhead kind of,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, cloud
Stigma.
that's already hanging. Yes, a stigma that's already hanging. So you have to be 100 and you have to be sincere. And I believe that when you're sincere and you have your plan and everything's falling into
Yep.
place, and you, like you say, you're actually putting yourself out, I believe that the Lord will help you and doors will open and ways of
Yes.
revenue will open. You have to have just that good planning, and
Yeah.
I completely understand with teaching, because that's what I do. I teach as well. And honey, I completely understood that, going to buy millions of books, millions, all kind of supplies,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, I wasn't familiar with large checks having to clear. I wasn't familiar with it takes 7 days and this and that. And I wasn't familiar with nonprofits donating, and it takes money.
That's right.
You
That's
have
right.
to, you learn, and I
Yep.
mean, you end up putting yourself into your product and into your
Yes.
business, into your services. And once you do all those things sincerely, I do believe that, revenues will open up.
It
But
will.
most of the time, it does take you over a year or two to
It
see
does.
a real profit, like you say, overhead or not, tangible business with a storefront or either online,
Yeah.
it still takes, that patience and that effort.
It took me 18 months to make my initial $5,000 investment back. It took me a
See?
year and a half. But I did
Yep.
a lot of free stuff because people knew me for preaching and singing. They
Yes.
didn't know me for teaching or
Yes.
coaching and
Yes.
leadership training and development. So people have an idea of who you are and what you provide. So I would go in and do 3 weeks or 4 weeks free. That's how I got the first $5,000 contract. I went in and did 4 weeks free. And
Yes.
my coach, remember I told you we had the free conference call line. He said, be the easiest vendor they've ever worked with.
Yes.
Needy, don't be, where you got to have people carrying your stuff. So only thing we needed after that first time was security to get us in. We knew how to get to our room. I watched that girl when she set up the PowerPoint the first time. We set up our room, we cleaned up our room. All we had to do was come in. And so we served 4 weeks. I did weeks I would do some with churches. I would get volunteers from the community to come in because I needed to learn the content. I needed to understand people's needs. So I used that time to get good. So by the time I got to that first corporation, I had already been teaching it for about a year.
Yes, and that's
so
very important.
Yes.
Getting involved with the community is extremely important. A coworker might ask me about my business, about my phlebotomy classes, and they were like, wow, this and that. And, like I was telling her, the first 2 years, honey, was strictly community services, advertising, giving back. I think I invested more into myself.
That's right.
The first 2 years,
That's right.
it's real. I did free events, free this, and you're always putting something out there, and it's just a natural thing, and you don't always look for a return. It's just kind of like, hey, I'm trying to get out there and I'm trying to just get the word out. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn the ropes. I'm trying to learn what my community likes and what my community needs and what my community desires and what, steps I need to take to be successful and to obtain success and to keep being successful.
Let me give you another key for that first year, because you just said something that made me think of something. When you go and do those free events that first year, every festival, and we show up so people can start getting aware, collect email addresses. Always have some kind of giveaway or something so you can collect names and email addresses. When Facebook shut down, guess what I was doing? My email list. I did a video. I put it on YouTube, put it in my email blaster, and blasted it out when I was communicating, because I also have my clients' information and I've been collecting email addresses since forever. And so a lot of times in the beginning, we forget to do that. What happens if this social media platform goes down? How do you connect with your clients? That's why you'll see them. That's why you see a lot of people give away a free PDF. They give away a free resource, but you got to put your email address in.
Yes.
So that when they have a new program that's coming up, and see, this is another thing. Don't give away $100.
Yes.
Because everybody wants the $100.
Yes.
You would give away a phlebotomy class or a discount. Why? Because you only want the email addresses of the people who want what you sell.
That's right. And that's a great marketing strategy. Thank you for that one.
Yes.
Girl.
So you collecting, so you always have information from your people. If I go to something free and I do a bunch of free things, I'll have no problem with it, because my goal is networking. My
Yes.
goal is to connect with new people. You have to get new eyes on your product and service. And the way you do that is you go to these expos, you go to these vendor events, you show up in the parade. They be like, what is Carmela doing in the parade? Girl, she's doing it.
But you're right. You have to be on the scene. You have to make yourself notice. You have to stand out, honey.
That's
You
right.
want that reputation. You want it beat in because you want you to be the first thing a person thinks about whenever
Exactly.
they come to that need. You want them to say, "Oh, Carmela, that's the person I need to call right there," because she knows that. And that's exactly how it should be.
And that's what happened also when I was doing the free classes for anybody in the community. Guess
Yes.
what? They all had jobs. So if their job mentioned anything about leadership training, I went to a class with Carmela, and man, I still got the book. It was real good. Exactly. So that referral, that word of mouth, I have every last one of those email addresses. Even when it was free, I required them to sign up through Eventbrite. I was collecting emails and information from day one. So that first year, it may not be the highest revenue generating year.
That's right.
But you should be gathering information. You should be gathering names. You should be making connections. You should be networking, because those things, let me tell you, one person, that first, I've been talking about a corporate contract, not business coaching, but that one corporate contract, she referred me to another business. Her contract was $5,000. So I wasn't gonna go under that no more. One
That's
person
right.
said yes.
Yeah, that's it.
The next contract was $25,000.
Awesome. Wow.
From a referral. I didn't even have to go in and really sell. They wanted to use me because of what the other people said.
That's right. See, now you see how that works out there, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, it all goes into play of being prepared and being prepared and having all your ducks in a row and knowing your stuff.
Know your audience.
And you have to know your audience. That's it. Yes. I mean, that's like I think that's one of the biggest things. You hit it head on with that one. Just know your audience.
Yep.
And all of those tools and tips that you have given are awesome, and I hope everybody here that's listening or that will watch, the recorded broadcast, because we do have it on YouTube as well. So, cool. They will take some valuable information and they will understand, like, hey, you have to be prepared and you have to know your targeted audience.
Get good.
Things,
When COVID happened, all of my corporate events were closed. Everything closed.
Yes.
And I was sitting here like, okay, what can I do? I had to pivot. So I went back to the first thing I started in business. I went back to coaching, but I went to helping business owners who didn't know the stuff that we're talking about now. I believe one of the reasons it took me so long is because I didn't have somebody that would just tell me.
Yes.
Carmela, you need to have your business account in place.
Yes.
Carmela, you need to have this in place. Have you considered, put your bullet list together and just use it as a checklist. I didn't have anybody to tell me, okay, so this is how I do with my clients. So if I'm selling hand sanitizer and I'm selling ink pens and I want to make $5,000 over the next 90 days, then we're going to break that thing down into how many hand sanitizers I'm going to sell.
And how many ink pens.
How many ink pens I'm going to sell. What's the profit from this? What's the profit from that? Yes. If I fall short, then either I got to increase my sales or I have to add another way of selling. So I can sell live. How much am I going to make selling them live? I'm going to go to vending events. It's the holidays, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday. What specials am I going to have to get extra sales? And then my website. If I got to do $1 a day ad to let people know about my website. So now I'm selling my hand sanitizer and my ink pens, but I got money coming in 3 different ways to make sure that I hit my revenue goals. That's stuff that you ain't going to find in a business plan.
No,
those are things that your business coach going to help you sit down and create your custom plan. I didn't have nobody. I got the general information and I was a master at training. But I had to learn the hard way how to turn all that into a business.
That's right. And, that's why, like you say, business coaching is important.
Yes.
And somewhere down the line, we as business owners, we have to get up under the wing of a business coach. You have to have a mentor, even in your spiritual life and your physical life, you have to have a mentor.
Yes.
You have to have that shepherd to watch the flock. You have to, and I mean, it's just that's another revenue. That's another way of creating revenue, and that's another way of being successful. Because I mean, wow, you're right. There are so many resources, and there's so many things and questions that people have,
Yeah.
and and sometimes they're afraid to ask because, i.e., they
True.
feel like nobody's going to tell them.
Yep.
Or you don't have the money.
Yeah.
And things of that nature. And it's just so sad, because you shouldn't be like that. You have to get out and network and open up, and you have to ask questions.
You
And
got
you
to
have to
ask.
diligently search and seek, for those resources.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to save and budget for
Yep.
the ones that you really feel are essential.
Get the free stuff. But when you're ready to go further, faster, you have to make an investment in you.
That's right.
And sometimes you can't make that investment in the beginning. But listen at this. Be very careful about talking negative about people's prices and what they do. And you an entrepreneur. Because I believe what you sow is what you reap.
That's right, Carmela.
I never talk to anybody about their prices. If I can't afford it, I just say thank you so much. I'll come back with you when I'm ready. And then I just move on. I'm not going to say anything negative. I'm not going to slander them. If you want to charge $300 for the that's on you. Let me say something. Listen, what is that? What is the name of that place where everything is blue? They got pretty blue boxes. Everything is blue. Oh my gosh. You know what I'm talking about? Is that Tiffany? Tiffany.
Oh.
Tiffany has a gym clip. Sells a gym clip that's several $100s.
Yes.
But it's because it has the Tiffany's name on it.
That's
you ain't
right.
gonna buy no gym clip from me.
Exactly. Not for that price. But
they developed that. So who am I to talk about their gym clip?
Hey, it's just not for you. That's not your audience.
I'm gonna do the Family Dollar gym clip. But you can do the Tiffany gym clip, and I'm not gonna be mad at you, and I'm not gonna say nothing negative about them, right? That's what I mean. Like, be careful when we talk negative about other entrepreneurs and what they're doing and their prices, and then you got a business because it make you look like a hater for one. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is don't give out what you don't want to receive back.
That's right.
Yeah. Pay your people. If you supporting a small business owner, pay them. Tip them, treat them right. The way you want people to do them that way.
Because we have to stop that stigma that's on us. We have to break that, and that all starts with each individual, each business at a time. Yes. Stop putting your whole into it, break all that, we don't come clear, we don't come direct, we don't finish what we start, because really, that hurt, that hurt my heart too. And I heard certain people say that because I'm like, wow, why would you choose this business over this local, business right here? Oh, girl, no, I'm afraid this not going to happen, or I want my light in a certain way, or I don't want to argue with nobody about my this and that. And I'm just like, wow, listening, learning, but at the same time, I'm just thinking like, wow, we have such a heavy burden like to carry sometimes when it comes down to our businesses and the Black owned business name.
Because we have this higher expectation. We got to work twice as hard. You expect $5,000 worth of work for $500. That's not fair when you're gonna go over there and pay somebody else $5,000.
That's right. So they have to change their mindset as well.
Yes. That's why I say everybody ain't your client. Because if you want me to discount the work, but you still want the same level, the same value, you're not my client. Because
exactly. Because we already have to put that little extra oomph in it already, and now you want me to put
it's more than we giving you.
Exactly.
Right? So now you want me to discount it, and now I can't pay my help, or now I can't. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So like we got a budget. We have revenue goals we're trying to meet too. And so we're trying to eat. We got mortgages to pay. And all these things that we're trying to do as well. And so I know we don't have this conversation with our clients, but if we're talking to some business owners on here tonight, be careful about putting your mouth on other people when you need services, because that comes back and it makes you look bad.
Yes. And power of life and death is in the tongue. You know that one, you know what I mean? So you already know how it goes. You can't sit there and do that because you'll speak all that stuff into existence.
Yes.
And that's something that you have to be careful. That's why you should breathe life on yourself. As business owners in general, I wake up daily. I have affirmations. I say, I read my word, I have my certain little favorite memes. I have my little get up, get out and get some. I have my little song, I have stuff, that keeps you positive and keeps your spirit, man, positive. And, you have to breathe life and not death. which is those negative words.
Let me
You
say
can't.
this. What you just shared is what needs to also be a part of your first year routine. See, successful people get up an hour or two early so
Yeah,
they can do their devotional, so they can exercise, so they can get their mind right before they start their day. What we keep hitting the snooze button and roll out of bed, brush our teeth, and run into the to try to, and you ain't even got yourself together.
look at that. Now
See,
look at that.
all of
You
that is a part of self-care. Take care of me so I can take care of my people.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And I want you, Miss Carmela, if you will, for us, please, please, after this broadcast, just drop down your link for your social media page that you say you have as
Okay.
well for others
Yeah.
to join. Because I'm very interested. I will definitely be joining. And I know others will be very happy and wanting to want your services and need your services. I was so excited tonight. I already referred you to a few of my coworkers. I was like, oh
Okay.
yes, she's an awesome speaker. She's a very knowledgeable woman, and she can guide you in the correct path that you need.
Yeah.
Not to mention she's pastor. She's a good person. So it's like she's not going to lead you wrong.
I ain't gonna preach to you, but I'm gonna do business with integrity.
That's right. There
Yeah.
you go. She's not going to lead you wrong, and
Mhm.
and that's what we all need. So thank you so much, Miss Carmela Williams, for your time tonight. Thank you. And don't forget to put that link in that bio. And if anybody needs any of Miss Williams' services, feel free to reach out to her on Facebook. She's very attentive. She will reach back with you. She won't lose you like that. Just go ahead and use her services, and I hope everybody gained something tonight from our show. And everybody check back with us next week for another episode of the Money Bag Hour.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. Y'all have a great night.
Yes, you too, Miss Carmela. Good night, everyone.
Good night, y'all.